bringing the stories of people just like us directly into your home and learning more about them. This is Trent Speaks. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome in, everyone. Still working on getting everything up to YouTube. However, everything is all up to last week. So now I need to start to edit the videos that I've started to create and throw those on the YouTube channel. So I'm fairly caught up. I just have a little bit more catching up to do in that regard. Don't forget, you can catch me on YouTube now at Trent Speaks. Still on SoundCloud.com as well as Apple Podcasts too. So don't forget to subscribe to those and go ahead, send me a review, share a review. If you would like to send me a review, I'm also on Facebook, Trent Speaks. Instagram, Trent Speaks, so you can tell, really expanding that platform, trying to get to everyone on different areas. So send me a review if you'd like to. I'll post it on my website, www.trentspeaks.com. Yesterday I gave a talk to our student staff. I'll tell you what, I was beyond nervous. It's very hard for me to get nervous about things. It's very hard for me to get anxiety about speaking with people. However, yesterday, it was fairly easy for me to get anxiety about speaking to people. For me, the biggest thing was I wanted to make sure that what I was delivering is what our training committee had been searching for, what they had been expecting. And even my wife was the one to say, Trent, it doesn't matter what you say because you're going to do great, people are going to love it, and they're still going to take something away from it. And boy, oh boy, did they. It was a great experience. I thought I was going to have trouble filling a half hour, and that was not the case. I did not have trouble filling a half hour. I actually skipped over a couple slides because I was cutting it very close. And it is always nice. It is always nice to get recognition and hear great job and stuff at the end. But for me, that's not why I do it. I don't do it for recognition or prominence or anything like that. I do it because I want to have an impact on people. I want people to learn kind of through this podcast. I want people to learn other people's stories and that there are other people going through things, whether you realize it or not. And we really relate to people more than what we believe we do. And yesterday's talk was it was called The Mask You Live In, and it was actually on vulnerability. So trying to become more comfortable with being vulnerable, essentially. And this is some of the feedback I received. I'm not going to share any names here, but these are just some of the comments I received. I had one student come up to me afterwards and say, they introduced themselves to me, and they essentially said how much they enjoyed my talk and how, as someone who is going through their own personal things right now, hearing that was really nice to realize that they're not going through things alone and there are other people that are going through things, so they don't have to struggle in silence. Another person had texted me and said, essentially, as someone else who is depressed sometimes or anxious sometimes, thanks for being vulnerable. There were also a couple other comments that some people had received and passed along to me, such as the presentation being powerful, it giving that person courage and not hiding all the things that they're going through, being motivating. And that's my goal. The goal here and why I want to be a traveling speaker is to get people to feel uncomfortable, to get them to kind of start to think about themselves and to realize that there are other people going through this stuff. Hey, also big announcement for you, kind of going along this topic here. Um, a family friend of ours, I know him through my mom. His name is Tom Coverly. He's an illusionist. A couple of months ago, he started this cause, this movement. I don't really know what word to use here, but website buythingschangethings.com. I'm pretty sure it's .com. Now I have to look it up because I don't want to be wrong. Yes, buythingschangethings.com. And the whole purpose of this cause is to raise awareness around youth suicide and youth bullying. And so I prayed a lot a couple months ago because I wanted to be a sponsor. I just didn't know how much I wanted to donate to help support this cause. After praying a lot and thinking about it a lot, I sent a check for $1,000 because I think that this is a very worthy cause. I think it's something that we need to be more aware of, and I know that this will help Tom to never have to, hopefully, never have to turn down a school when they call him and ask, can you come do a presentation to our students because we just had a youth suicide. And so if you are interested in purchasing a shirt to help with this cause, again, buythingschangethings.com. I'm really excited to see where this goes and where Tom's able to take it. 100% of the proceeds do help youth. It is a 100% nonprofit. And I will have Tom in February in on the podcast so that we can talk to him more about that and the work that he's doing around our nation. Oh, kind of stuffy this morning. Allergies have been bothering me. Can't wait for no more allergy season. All right, folks. 7.5 minutes already, so why don't we jump right into this week's guest. Last week I told you we're going to talk to Will this week. Will and I talked about a lot of different things, but we mostly talked about his career path and how he was kind of all over the place and how I almost essentially, not a major role, but I played a minor role in getting Will fired from a job. All right, so I have Will as my guest this week, and I always talk to my guests a little bit before we start recording, and I actually just stopped Will and I said, hold on, Will, hold on. We need to back up and just stop talking and start recording because we're both talking gold material to each other. So I was talking to Will and we were talking about where are we going to go with the podcast this week. And I always tell my guests, it's up to you. I may be the host. It may be Trent Speaks, but really it should be the guest speaks with Trent. I don't know. Maybe we'll look at a name change. But Will has really bounced all over the place in his career path, and that's something I want to talk with him today about. From television and radio is kind of what he focused in post-college and in college and everything, and then bounced over to corrections with the state of Michigan, and then looked to get into the military, and then he can kind of talk about the unfortunate series of events. See what I did there? With the military stuff. So we'll just jump right into it. Will, without any further introduction, speak. I'm always very awkward at trying to transition into the guest or into the topic.
Well, to be honest, that was a pretty solid intro. Just if I put myself in the shoes of the listener, I thought that was pretty good. But, you did forget to mention, you and I, of course, I'm sure everyone that you've talked to, you have some sort of history with. But as far as my career path goes, you were a part of that.
I was.
You were a part of it for a lot of good and some really awkward moments. We don't have to go talking about the whole fun time we had together dealing with our interview for the Northern Michigan University's public newspaper, but that was a blast in itself. But absolutely.
Well, hold on. I guess the one thing I would say about it is, I guess you could argue that I played a role in part of your career change.
Absolutely. In fact, you might not have been the reason, but you could say you were probably a catalyst in the events that took place following, just prior to, my exit in the media business. But absolutely, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what my focus was coming out of college. There, you and I worked together over at the Public Eye News at Northern Michigan, and it's where I got my start in media. And I absolutely loved it. You were a big part of that, being the director of that show at the time. And it was, that was probably the most fun I had in college, was working with you. And it got me my job with ABC 10 in Ishpeming. I'm even scared because of how that ended. I'm scared bringing that up right now.
We'll be okay.
Do we want to go into that story since we're on it?
It's up to you. You're the guest.
Well, okay. So I graduated a year ahead of you?
You did, yep.
Right. So during your final year at college, and I was my first year out of college, I was picked up by ABC 10 in Ishpeming as a journalist and news reporter for the station. And at the time, I believe you just got into the Northwind, didn't you?
I did, yes. I was working at the student newspaper on Northern's campus as an editor for not very long, and then I transitioned into more of just a writer. But yeah, I was working at the student-run newspaper.
Well, prior to our story, I was really not enjoying the time I was having as a journalist there. The hours were ridiculously insane. Very much no money involved. I was barely making minimum wage. I was working literally myself to death. I got really sick in that time frame, and I had essentially no help as far as work goes covering to have days off. So I was really starting to get miserable and uncomfortable in this position. Although I did enjoy the actual work itself. And then, of course, as you were starting to take off there with the Northwind, you had me come on for an interview where we talked about life after college and getting my first job in the field which I studied. And that paper made its way to my news director's desk, who had a huge problem with the fact that I did this type of story, without first getting permission. It was the final nail in the coffin for my career in public news, and there was threats of lawsuits and all this other garbage, and I couldn't believe that was the outcome and how that story ended. And I'm glad that it did not affect our history. We still talk today.
Yeah.
I'm glad that didn't affect our friendship in that.
Well, and here's the thing too, though, Will, is that story, because I know you and I both at the time, I can remember our actions, our reactions more so, very vividly, that we were shocked because the story wasn't a slander against the station or you weren't degrading anyone or anything. It was a very positive features article about how the student-run news station had actually, that coupled with the student newspaper, had actually aided Will into getting a job, and how getting involved in college can actually help you after college. So actually, it was a really good piece, not only for the university, but really for the station as well.
Exactly. And, we weren't on the subject of the station specifically. It was mentioned that I worked there, which is public knowledge. If anyone in that area turned on the TV in the morning, it was very common knowledge to everyone. And I guess I was just so confused with why someone would have such a problem with that, and to go as far as threatening lawsuits and whatnot. We were scratching our heads the whole time trying to figure out what it is that could have irritated this person. But that was, for me, that's when I knew that I didn't think journalism was going to work out for me, because at the time as well, I was also a managing editor for an NFL website covering the Detroit Lions, and I had fun with that, but it was just the stress of keeping up with it all and not really making all that much money doing it. As soon as I was done at ABC 10, I had to work 5 part-time jobs just to make ends meet, and it was a struggle. I worked at 2 restaurants, a bar. I still was covering the Lions on this NFL website, and boy, I know I'm missing another job in there. And I had a radio show as well with what was it, Uber Country 96.7 in Marquette. I mean, good Lord, I was worn out. I was getting more worn out than I was at the news station, but I was happier. I was way happier. I'd rather juggle 5 jobs than work that one job with the news station. It was getting absolutely ridiculous.
Do you ever miss though? I will say I miss it. I love doing the podcast and being able to edit. I made a video for Leanne for her birthday, and being able to edit and piece that together and cut it and everything. Do you ever miss journalism?
In some aspects, absolutely. We talked a little bit on Facebook about hopping on your podcast, and it's kind of like one of those conversations where a lot of people will be like, yeah, we'll do this sometime, and then, years go by and you never actually get to do it. So I was surprised when I got the call, last week or whatever, saying, hey, let's do this over the phone. Let's just knock this out. Because I absolutely love podcasts. I love recording. I love journalism. I think my heart is in radio. I would love to get back into the radio scene at some point when my career is more stable and I can branch out and do more hobbies versus doing it for the money. But that would be absolutely, I do miss it at times, but what I got myself into now, I really can't regret it. I do enjoy what I do now, and it's provided me with a life post-college that is really setting me up for the long haul, the long-term future.
So I know you work for the state, so I want to tiptoe and make sure that you don't overshare, of course, but
Sure.
so share whatever you're able to. I don't want you to obviously feel pressure. We don't want another incident from a couple of years ago to happen.
Unfortunately, there are pretty loose guidelines as far as what I'm able to share.
I was gonna say the last time we talked, something bad happened, and this is the first time we've talked really to interview each other since that interview. So you never know.
Well, again, this is so much more free and loose. There's very little that I have to protect as far as information goes, and it wouldn't necessarily be relevant to our conversation anyways. But it's great, too, because this actually picks up right where we left off. I was working multiple jobs. I was working 5 part-time jobs, getting my butt just kicked everywhere. But I was happy again. And I saw a advertisement online for the Michigan Department of Corrections. And I have a little background in that. My father was a correctional officer for almost 30 years.
Oh,
and,
wow.
So I knew that at worst I can get information from him, and at best I kind of have an idea of what I'm getting into. So I was living in Marquette at the time, and I applied for the job, was immediately hired, and in June of 2015 I was in their training academy becoming an officer. And it was a fantastic experience. It is a good job as an officer. Right now for the state, you write your own paychecks with how much overtime you want to work. There's a lot of policy and procedure to learn. But if you have any people skills whatsoever, you can fit very well in the MDOC. And if you have a strong work ethic, you can make money doing it. So for me, it was a really happy balance. And I was an officer for about 2 years when I kind of came to the decision that it was time for me to leave Marquette and venture out and go somewhere new. So what was it, probably February or March of 2017, I put my name on what we call the transfer list. Basically, if anyone is interested in transferring to Marquette, they can swap and do a one-for-one trade with me, and I'll go wherever they're coming from. And I did phone call, and in May of 2015, 2017, I got the call that I was going to be traded to the Michigan Temporary Facility in Muskegon, which is now shut down.
Oh.
But yeah, that's all part of the story. That's all coming up. So I was sent to Muskegon last year, and I started last July. And at first, I really enjoyed it because it was the first time I had my own place to live. I had no roommate. My life was my own. You know, if I didn't want to clean the house, I didn't have to. You know, I had no obligations other than myself and paying my bills. I soon started to kind of regret coming down to Muskegon specifically. I didn't really enjoy Muskegon. It's not my kind of town.
It's not a nice town, no.
No, there are good things about it, but there's good things in every town. You know, there's a lot of cool local breweries. There was some interesting people I met that I really enjoyed, and I started to realize, well, you know, was it Marquette that was bothering me, or the fact that I was in this work routine that never seemed to change? And I was really juggling in my head, you know, where do I want to go with this career path I'm on? And then word started getting around that my facility was going to be shut down by the state in effort to save money on the budget. And so I said, well, I can't drive to Ionia, which was the closest facility, but that's still pretty far away from Muskegon. I didn't want to drive 60 miles north to the next closest in Manistee. So I was like, man, if there's ever a time to get out of this officer position to explore something new, now's probably a good time to do it. And that's when I met a few guys from the United States Navy. And I decided that it was going to be my time to put my work ethic and put my career goal of serving people and doing it in the ultimate way and joining the United States Navy. So in November, I was sent to Lansing to be screened and checked out, do all my testing, and I officially enlisted in November as a hospital corpsman in the United States Navy. That was it. That was the goal. That's all I was thinking about for the next 3-4 months before I left for basic training in February 20th of this year. I left for Great Lakes, Illinois, which is the home of the Navy boot camp.
Well, you're going to talk to me about, there was that pause. Are you going to talk to me about the Navy? Yeah.
Excuse me, I thought maybe you might have something to say. I kind of said a whole lot there, so I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to add.
No, I was listening away. I just made a note, but it's not related to this part of the conversation. It's for a different part of the conversation we're going to have. So, yeah, no, keep on trucking. You
Okay,
do
absolutely.
you.
Well, then I'll just keep it moving.
I'll interrupt you if I really have something.
Okay, sounds great. So, February 20th at about 11:30 at night, I'm on a bus and I arrive to Great Lakes U.S. Navy boot camp, and from there, all hell broke loose. I mean, it is intense, and I know a lot of my Marine buddies, like our good friend Ben from Marquette. I mean, he will rip on me, but there's a love for it. But he would rip on me because he's a Marine and I was a sailor. It's not nearly as intense as the Marine boot camp, but for me, this was my first experience. And I mean, you've been up for 16, 17 hours. You are getting screamed at for the littlest things, and you are just thinking, wow, what did I get myself into?
Like what? Like what would be a little thing that you'd be shocked that you're getting yelled at for?
So, as soon as that bus pulls up, there's a chief that comes on board, and he's just talking to you, and he's saying, okay, you're at this building, and this is what's going to happen for the next 24 to 36 hours, or whatever it is, 32 hours. And then all of a sudden, it was like a flip of the switch, and he is just screaming at me to get off the bus. on me. I didn't really have to bring anything other than my cell phone and the clothes on my back. So we're all running in. What they'll yell at you for, you can't do certain things. For example, you're walking in this hallway, and there's different colored tiles all over the place, and they make the shape of certain flags that you'd see on Navy carriers and Navy ships. And you are not allowed to step on those flags. So
Oh,
you have to,
jeez.
so it's like the floor is lava in those situations. And I mean, you just barely even brush one of those tiles, and I mean, you are getting screamed at. And then they tell you to roll up your pant legs 3 inches, from your heel. And I mean, if it looks like it's 4 inches, you are getting screamed at.
Oh my goodness.
And that's the whole point. It's a high stress situation. They want to see how you act. They want to see what you're going to do in those situations, because they need you ready. They need you to be 100% rock solid when you join the fleet.
In the end, it's all part of the training, essentially.
Yes, everything has a purpose. They don't hate you. They are just making sure that you are fit for this type of
Right.
lifestyle. And as far as that stuff goes, that was completely fine with me. I knew better. Being 28 years old, I knew what to. I kind of saw it coming, but still, the first time some guy was just screaming in your face, and you're not allowed to make eye contact with these guys, by the way. You do not make eye contact with anyone unless they tell you to look at them.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, it is a lot of social things that, it's polite to make eye contact or it's a sign of respect. No, not in this setting. So there's some adjustments that you have to make. I was up for about a day and a half at that point. By the time breakfast rolled around, it's been about 24 hours. So we got to eat, and then we're going in. We're getting our sea bag, which is our bag full of everything we will need. Our clothes for the time we're there. I mean, it was intense. It was. I mean, I don't know how I didn't pass out at any point in time. You're up for so long. That first night of sleep was ridiculous. I fell asleep in about 30 seconds once they said we could go to sleep. And what they do is they're called P days. They're called processing days. That's your first week. And that's when they basically get you all set up with your Type 3 uniforms, their camouflage uniforms, your boots, all this stuff. And about 5 or 6 days in, I woke up one morning at about 4:30 in the morning, and my calf muscles were about the size of actual footballs.
Oh my gosh.
It was unbearably painful. I didn't know what happened. I don't remember doing anything, physically that put me in such pain. But I really had trouble walking. So they took me over to the medical center, and I mean, the nurses were like, "That is messed up. We have no idea what that is. It's an infection or something. It's not a muscle injury. It's not a physical injury. We can't figure out what this is." So they had to send me to a private hospital about 20 miles away, where they said what I had was a syndrome called rhabdomyolysis. And it's not a super uncommon thing as far as the military goes. It is kind of in the world. Basically what happens is it's when you injure a muscle group and the dead muscle fibers are deposited into your bloodstream, which that itself isn't that big of a deal, but your bloodstream goes through your kidneys can't process or know what to do with these dead muscle fibers, so it can start damaging the kidneys. And basically I had to sit down with our chief medical doctor, and the biggest thing that was in my way was I still had to qualify physically for physical fitness before I could start actual boot camp training. And
Hold on.
Yeah.
What? Okay. So, what was the difference with what you were at versus actual boot camp training?
So, what
Oh, so you're saying outside of processing week, it is
Yep.
boot camp.
Yep. And so
Okay, okay.
I'm still at boot camp, but we have not officially begun our training.
Gotcha. All right.
And so when I sat down with with the doc, he goes, the biggest issue you're going to face is your timetable for healing. He goes, we can go one of two ways. There's a unit called RCU, which is basically where the injured recruits go until they're healed and can start resuming their activities. They basically, wherever they're at in their training, it gets paused. They go to RCU until they're better, and they can, once they're better, they can resume where they left off, just with a different division.
Oh, that's nice.
Right. So the problem I faced was I didn't do my physical fitness qualification there yet, because that's one of the first things you do after the first few days. And so they basically sat down and said, the problem with you going to the RCU is that we don't have a timetable for you for when you'll be good to go. It could be months before you are physically cleared
Wow.
to begin training. So they offered me kind of this deal, and they said you can either go to RCU, wait it out, and continue when you can, or you can attempt to do your physical fitness qualifications. If you pass, okay, you'll continue on. Worst case scenario, you come back to RCU. Or if you don't pass it, you can be let go for 6 months, and then you can just redo this whole process again. Basically re-enlist and, get back into it. They kind of pushed that one on me because they said this could take months to heal. Going through this much physical strain is not going to really help you all that much, and it's going to slow down the healing process, or even worse, it could make things worse for your health in the long run. So without actually saying it, they told me, go home, get yourself healed up, come back when you're ready.
And how long did it take to heal up?
It took probably about 4 or 5 months. I think I wasn't really 100% until right around June. I was still feeling the effects of it. When I first came home, it was unbearable to try to climb stairs. I was really struggling to maneuver around. I couldn't work out. I couldn't do anything. Right around May is when I started feeling good about my health, but I definitely could still feel something wrong.
What do they do for that?
There's a few things they can do. Basically, I was on this medication for a while that
Okay.
just helps process it. There's a ton of other treatments that they can do, but it was basically they drained the fluid all out of my legs and whatnot because of the swelling. It caused an infection, and it was just a nasty mess. But at the end of the day, I took the deal and I said, okay, I'm going to go home and think about what my next move's going to be, and consider what I want to do if I plan to come back or not. I'll admit, when I got home, I did not have a good mental state. I don't know if I would say I was full on depressed, but I was not myself. I felt like I was a complete failure on all fronts. I talked this big game about doing this, wanting to be successful at it, and going to be a hospital corpsman, working with Marine Corps as their medic. I was all about it, and to have it all see it, slip away, and then to come back home and live with the folks for a while till I got myself back up on my feet. It was hard. It was hard mentally. I wasn't sure how this was going to work out. So I knew that I couldn't do anything. If I ever do anything with the military again, it wouldn't be until right around this time here in August. I actually just got a call letting me know that I'm qualified to come back if I so choose. So I couldn't wait around that long without having some kind of job.
Right.
So I decided to see if I could come back into the MDOC, just because I know that I'm qualified to do this job, I have experience, and I know it will at least cover me financially. I called Marquette first because that's where I really wanted to go. Unfortunately, because of they call it a freeze, they froze all the hiring processes for that facility. They basically said, we can't take you right now. So I had to start looking at all the facilities, excuse me, and deciding where I wanted to go. And I picked up the phone and I gave G. Robert Cotton facility here in Jackson a call, and would you believe it? The warden worked with my dad back in the day.
Oh my gosh.
And it was funny because I emailed him and the human resources just, asking about, what are the options for coming back if it's possible. And I got an email right back from him and said, here's my number, call me. I was like, wow, this guy's all about business. And he goes, oh, yeah, I think I know your dad. He worked over at Parnell, didn't he?
Oh my goodness.
It's like, yeah, I worked with your dad a long time ago. We'll get you back in the system. I'm like, wow.
That's awesome.
That has to be a sign. Even my mom noticed immediately once I found out I was able to come back and start working again. She saw my mood improve. She saw my happiness overall improve. My social life improve.
That's good.
She was really excited to see that happen. So it took about 3-4 weeks and a bunch of trips down from Traverse City to Jackson, where I was staying with my folks there in Traverse, and did my physical fitness test, which was brutal because I was still recovering. But the qualifications are pretty minimal as far as physical fitness standards go, so it wasn't too terribly challenging. And then I got really, really lucky with housing because I was talking to a friend of mine who lives here in Jackson, and I said, yeah, man, I'm trying to find out, where's a decent place to live in Jackson. The hard part is I only have like 2 weeks to find something, so I'm kind of scared that I'm going to end up in a kind of shady neighborhood or a not great, not have a great landlord or something. And well, he goes, well, me and my wife just bought our first house, and we're going to be moving out pretty close to the time you're coming down. You want to just move into the house we're in?
Perfect timing.
Yeah, the house that they were living in was his wife's father's house.
Oh my
He just let
gosh.
them live there. So as soon as I found that out, I got, his father-in-law's contact information, got on the horn and said, hey, I need a place to live, stat. And we worked out a deal, and everything just somehow worked out perfectly. And that brought me down here back in May. And I started up again as an officer. Didn't really miss a beat. It was all pretty much the same as I expected. And that's when I started, again, I'm kind of back at square one, thinking, what do I want to do in my career? I don't want to be an officer forever. So I kept my eye open on the state of Michigan's job website, and I saw this position that was called a corrections program coordinator. And I had no idea what that was. But I looked at the qualifications, I looked at the salary, I looked at the schedule, and said, you know what? Why not? Let's see what this is all about. And I interviewed for the position. They had about 100 applicants. They took 15 interviews.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it was one of those interviews. And I found out, I think I did it like on a Thursday or a Friday, and by Monday I found out that I was selected for the position.
That's awesome.
And I've been blown away ever since. Now that I'm in the job, I know that I see why they hired me, because this is right up my alley. This is exactly what I enjoy doing. And what I do now is, instead of working as an officer, the shorthand way of saying it is I'm a teacher or a facilitator.
Okay.
But what I do right now is I put classes together for offenders who have committed violent crimes in their history, and I work in cognitive behavioral therapy to attempt to rehabilitate and have them change the way they think about violence and violent acts.
That's awesome.
Right, and this is like I'm currently running my first class right now. I mean, it's interesting to be put in this position because I'm no longer wearing the officer hat. I'm now putting on this teacher hat, and the attitude towards it from their perspective completely changes.
For the better?
For the better, it's interesting just because I'm in this position now where they are interested, and it takes a rapport. You have to build some trust with them at first, but they start talking about their life on personal matters that, very few people in this setting, in this environment, would have the ability to learn about. It is such a difference to see these guys on such a human level, because we think about offenders, we think about prisoners. A lot of people think in this idea of, they're all gangbangers, they're all evil people, they're the worst of the worst, and that's not entirely not true, because there are still people out there that are like that. But to get to know some of these guys on a very human level and understand that a lot of this stuff, the things they had to witness or the things they had to be a part of as a child growing up, it changes your perspective. And I don't necessarily, I don't justify or condone any of the actions that they did, but to see the progress that like these guys in my first class are making and seeing the connections that this program teaches them, I really feel like not only do I have a career that's selfishly putting me in a good position, but I'm actually doing something completely positive and something that's beneficial to our society as a whole as these guys get ready to re-enter this culture and this society.
Well, and I'm sure as you do it longer too, and it sounds like you're already learning this now, but even as you do it longer, I'm sure you'll see, because it sounds like this is really rewarding work.
It is. It does feel very rewarding. It's fun to be able to, or it feels good to be able to have fun with these guys. It feels good that when I see, or I do a session, I see these light bulbs click with these guys, and they see that they have an opportunity that when they go home to not come back. Recidivism is such a problem in our culture as far as offenders go. People that reoffend and come back to prison, it is such a problem. And if out of 100 guys, if one of the guys I interact with has some type of skill that he learned from the classes I had taught him that keeps him from coming back, that is a huge win for me.
Well, I know that you earlier when you were talking about the injury and everything that you received. Can I call it an injury? Is that?
Yeah, you could. We can go with that.
I hate to bring it back up because it was so long ago that we just talked about it. But I just had a couple of questions. Is that something that that can recur if you were to go back into the Navy?
It is possible that it could reoccur. And see, just to make it kind of clear, it's not something that can just happen only if I went back into the Navy or the military in general. I have to be very careful as far as any type of physical muscle injury goes. It's, even if I work out a little too hard and I hurt something, I need to keep an eye on that. I don't necessarily have, I can look for warning signs. I don't have to worry every time I'm sore if there's something wrong. But it is something I do have to think about from here on out. So as far as, making any attempt to rejoin the military, it's a little, I'm hesitant just for that fact.
And I'm glad that you said that because I know that you've mentioned a couple times now within our half hour or so that we've been talking that you are still kind of reevaluating in a way of what is it that you want to do as a career? Like, what do you really want to get into? What are you passionate about? And that you kind of don't know for sure what you want to do, which is obviously okay. But what are your thoughts on like what are your thoughts right now if you were to be asked today, which you're being asked today, on if you would go back into the military? What would you say?
It's funny that you mentioned that because literally for about a week now, and this is before we even brought up coming on the podcast, so it's been on my mind because it's August now, and I believe August 8th was the day I was notified that I am now clear to re-enlist if I so choose, and I thought about it. I really did. And it's tough to be certain, but I would have to say if I was going to decide to go back into it, I might choose something a little different. My first enlistment, or attempt at enlistment, was active duty. As soon as I finished up my schooling for my job in the Navy, I was going to get orders to go somewhere, whether it be stationed here in the U.S. or international. I think if I were to do it again, it would probably be on the reservist side, if only because I've kind of found something I'm happy with in working as a facilitator for the NDOC, working in violence prevention. I really enjoy what I do. Now, I would have to take some serious time off because it's about 2.5 months to go through basic training, and then it's however many weeks that I need to finish school for that job in the military to get trained in the specific rate. So I would look at maybe as a reservist. It would allow me to continue doing what I want to do and what I've been enjoying over the last couple of months this summer as this new position unfolds for me, while also still serving that desire to serve the United States of America in the armed forces.
Well, and you and I were just talking about that before we started recording, and that's when I was like, "We're recording gold right now." Well, when we weren't recording gold, is that really you have to do what you love and do what you're going to enjoy because you shouldn't be doing it for fame or popularity, but you should be doing it because you love it. And I was talking about how within the next 5 years, even if Trent Speaks doesn't take off, and even if I'm not doing my dream job, I love doing these podcasts. This is something I love doing. I look forward to every week. I thoroughly enjoy it. And so it's something I would like to carry through. And so I think you really hit the nail on the head there that whether it's you or me or anyone that's listening or even not listening, you need to be doing what you love because in the end, that's what matters. And that is going to play a huge effect in your attitude.
I think there are some misconceptions that our society brings to the table when it comes to the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? I think the first misconception is that your options are limited as far as, okay, you could be a policeman, a firefighter, a doctor, a lawyer. You hear all these very, very specific and very open-ended career paths. What I think is the misconception is that if you choose to go into a certain field, whether it is law enforcement, health service, whatever, there are so many smaller branches and job opportunities. There's more jobs out there in the world, types of jobs, that people don't realize. And it's amazing how I sat here in corrections and said, I like the paycheck. I like the work I do. I don't love it, but it definitely takes care of my needs. But I wish I could figure out exactly, or find a position that exactly fits my skill set and my needs. And of course, lo and behold, I find something within that position. I find a position within the department I work. And I feel like that's a big misconception that people make, is that they have to take the generic idea of what they want to do. And then I think the other misconception is that at the end of the day, it has to be something that they absolutely love, or they have to do something that pays the bills. Why can't it be both?
Yeah, no, I agree. Will, you mentioned what you want to be when you grow up. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh man, I jumped around so much as a kid. It's probably why I haven't figured it all out. And by the way, that's the other thing too. People think that you have to figure it out.
You don't.
I'm almost 30 years old, and I'm just now discovering something I'm really all about.
Gosh, you're old.
I'm an old man. And it's great. There's no such thing as being too late to discover something you are absolutely passionate about, or something you really enjoy doing, whether it's a hobby or a career. I think that's just way too overplayed, that if you're, a lot of people say if you're not married with kids by like 24, what good are you, And, how old were you when you got married? Just so I can make fun of you for that one.
Oh, geez. We got married 2 years ago, so I would have been 23.
Great. So you fit that stereotype. You got married to a wonderful woman, and you got to start young. Where a lot of people at my age start looking at it like, oh man, I feel like a complete failure because I haven't found my passion. I haven't found the soulmate. I haven't gotten married. All that. You can't look at it that way.
Don't compare yourself to others.
Exactly. Just because someone got there first doesn't mean that you are not going to be happy later. I would rather get it right at 30 than to rush it and mess something up and not be happy with myself, but be forced into a situation that I can't get out of.
Well,
I say that's what you did, by the way.
Oh, no, of course. Of course.
I know you made the right call.
Of course. Yeah, well, we won't have kids until we're dead. So at this rate, we won't have them until we're on our deathbeds. Will, so as we wrap up our time together and as my computer percentage continues to tick down, I always ask people this as the closing question, because it is always a wonder to me at what people come up with and what people say, because it's not always what you expect them to say, which I love. What is it that you have learned? And it may be something that you've talked about already on a podcast. It may not be something you've talked about. What is it something you've learned? What is it something you want people to take away, whether it be from your story or just something that you've experienced?
If I could really just tell the world one thing,
do it.
It would be, no matter what situation you find yourself in, one, you can always change your story. And two, never, ever give up on it. It's unreal to hear how people think that they cannot change the situation they're in. They absolutely can. Now, it's not always easy to change, especially when you've been so passionate of going after something only to find out that it's not going to work, or it won't work this time. I was heartbroken when I came home from Great Lakes and being told by the U.S. Navy that, we can't do this right now. I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought that I was, so far behind the 8 ball that there was going to be no coming back. But if you have the motivation to put yourself out there and work